Good morning. Welcome to Dornbush download number 173. Good morning, Rob.
Good morning, Michael.
Yeah, it feels like a bit of deja vu, doesn't
does.
it? I think we were here last time Wednesday, and I think we're even commenting I was wearing the same shirt as well.
I'm one of the same shirt as well. We've got our Wednesday shirts on today.
Yeah, mate. The brains seem to think a bit more clearly, don't they, with the Wednesday shirts on? So hopefully we can deliver on that. So, but mate, you've been having a bit of a look at Origin Energy. They've come out with a few announcements in the last day or two.
Yeah, they released some figures this week, just in their 6-month figures for the end of December last year. Their production figures are up 12%, which is very promising. And their revenue is up 40%, up to $1.4 billion for that 6-month period. So that's very encouraging. With Origin, they're transitioning from production mode into delivery mode. So they're slashing those jobs because just cutting costs. And they're a diversified energy company, both oil and gas in Australia and New Zealand. They're also into actually renewable energy as well. They've got a few wind farms around the place as well. So they are diversified. They're going well on the revenue, obviously, cutting costs. So their share price at the moment is about $9.16 when we went to air. So it'll be interesting to watch that one. They also obviously suffered back in 2015 with the slowdown in the energy sector. But the last couple of years, their share price has been gradually increasing. So one to watch.
Yeah, they did. They had a really tough time there a couple of years ago, didn't they? Oil price tanked to the $30-odd mark. Yep. As you say, they were building that AP LNG plant, which was ended up costing a bit more than what they expected, and had to raise capital. They cut the dividend. I don't think they've gone back to dividend payment mode as yet. I'm not 100% on that, but I know they haven't paid a dividend for a little while. But mate, higher oil price, which basically flows into higher gas prices, and certainly these LNG exports are really starting to ramp up. I think the thought is that LNG for Queensland, at least, it's going to be our biggest sort of export revenue maker, if not this year, next year.
Yeah,
so,
well, I know Origin's got a lot of long-term contracts for LNG export into Asia, so that's quite promising for them. They've got those locked in, so they know what their cash flow is going to be with that part of their business for the long term. So it helps their forecasting.
Yeah, and I guess to touch on it very quickly, but it leads into that interesting conundrum where companies like Origin have been questioned to some degree about sending all their stuff, or the majority of their stuff, overseas and leaving a bit of a gas supply shortage here locally. Yeah. So I know that the federal government obviously got involved, and state governments have been involved. Origin, Santos, and also Arrow Energy have said basically they will continue to keep some domestic supply, but that was certainly an issue that I guess has been popping up, and we're seeing it again. Power supply shortages, particularly in those southern states at the moment.
Yeah, Victoria and South Australia, particularly. That's right.
Yeah, interesting scenario. So, but yeah, Rod, too. I know we noticed we mentioned last week reporting season. And we had a company today, GUD Holdings. They're traditionally one of the first companies off the rank to report. So they're an automotive and water pump company. They've got Ryco filters and Westco oil filters and a few other bits and pieces. They've divested themselves out of the oat business, which was buckets and mops and a few other bits and pieces like that. But yeah, half-yearly reporting season sort of now getting into full swing. General thought is we should see earnings per share growth of around about 6 to 8% over the 2018 financial year. But certainly one of interest next week, and next week is when we'll really crank up, will be Commonwealth Bank. Only announced today, or yesterday rather, Matt Comyn, the new CEO, to take over from Ian Narev in April. But it'll be very interesting to see whether Commonwealth Bank continues on its sort of divestment charge, getting rid of the old Colonial First State asset management group, and whether it continues to clean out some of the life insurance businesses as well. But
that new CEO was promoted from within, so it's interesting that like Ian Narev, the current CEO, he announced that he was stepping down last August, I think it was, and then so it's taken a while for them to actually make a decision on who was going to take over. So Matt Comyn, I think, has been the head of their retail operations for quite a few years. So obviously he's got the runs on the board, so they've promoted him into the position. So we'll wait and see. But the market received it warmly when he was announced. So.
Absolutely, and he's only a youngish fella too.
He's younger than us, Mike.
Early 40s, so mainly it's spring chicken, as they say. So it'd be interesting to see how he goes. Head of the retail bank there for a while, and that's of course where there has been a few issues. Particularly with this, this recording of information, money laundering, sort of compliance stuff.
Yeah, they weren't reporting all transactions they should have last year, apparently. So that's where it got them into a bit of trouble. So.
So it'll be interesting to see whether there's more clean-outs to come. AMP's another one next week that reports, and there's certainly two. Eyes will be on them whether they'll maybe start culling some of their life insurance business as well, and it's almost coming full circle, isn't it? I know back in the sort of the early 90s, banks were swallowing up investment managers and investment groups, and it's sort of come full circle and going or getting back to a point where they're divesting themselves of them. So whether that'll be a continuing trend, we probably think so, and be interested to see what sort of wheels are put in motion in that regard. Rio Tinto also next week. It'll be an interesting one to keep an eye on. And Magellan Financial Group, they've been a good little business. So
they've been a good performing business for a number of years. Investment-wise,
they have one of the top-rated managers out there. These days, you'd have to think, but a lot of information starting to trickle through next week. So there'll be a fair bit to talk about. Yeah,
in regards to information, there's a big announcement today in regards to the latest CPI figures, the latest inflation figures will be announced today. So that's it really is an indicator of where interest rates are headed. So we'll definitely be watching that closely and what it's announced. Like inflation rate's been running under the 2% mark for a long time now. So the Reserve Bank wanted to be in between the 2 and 3% range. So it'd be interesting to see where it's up to and gives us direction on what interest rates will do for the rest of the year.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's a lot happening at the moment, isn't there? So hopefully, we should have a fair bit to talk about next week.
Certainly will.
Mate, I think that's us for the day.
That's it for me.
Thank you.
Thanks.